Hi everyone, my name is Evette Rose, author of Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a book about the emotional body and also messages behind ailments. And welcome to today's full moon talk and also healing meditation. Now, I had to laugh, right? I really had to laugh when I observed this full moon because this one is going to almost like bring discomfort within discomfort. Right? If you're kind of like not an organized person, then this full moon is going to really ruffle your feathers. Because, you might feel like you've started to feel comfortable with kind of like a messy sense of disorganized lifestyle. And this could also be because you perhaps have been rebelling, right? Let's also look at why we do the things that we do, because they don't just happen for no reason, right? So maybe there could be a dash, an aspect of rebelling against structure and practicality. Now, also, of course, with that comes the reality. And when I say reality, I mean, what is it that you're perhaps trying to consciously or subconsciously avoid in your life by having this disorganized mess that's distracting you? What would you have to look at and deal with if you didn't have these distractions? Right? So this is what's coming in with this vibe, which now also later in hindsight, you will start to kind of like feel and sense, right, that it's not actually that bad, right? So this full moon will also be along with that sense of a wake-up call, almost, as you would can call it. It's almost like introducing a need, right? You might start to actually naturally feel a need for stability in your life, right? And you might then start to feel like this could actually not be that bad, right? So organization might actually have positive aspects to it that might start to feel a little bit more attractive to you. So apart from what that vibe's bringing in there, it's also going to bring in with it also a need for more calmness in your life. And you'll start to realize the stress and the craziness that this disorganization perhaps that you've had and the stress that it brought. That stress is going to start wearing you off. You're going to start getting tired of that. And that's where the need for calmness is going to come in. So this can happen for you either way. You might feel the need for calmness first, or you'll probably start to go right to the core of the problem and just feel like, I need some organization. So then you're going to start to feel perhaps this need, and I invite you to, right? This need to investigate perhaps what has been contributing to you feeling so restless, right? That need to distract yourself from what? So that's what's going to start boiling up and bubbling up for you during this time. And also what areas have you been feeling this way in your life? Now, when I say areas, remember we have friendships, we have relationships, we have work, we have a relationship with ourselves, we have a relationship with the past, the present, we even have a relationship with the future. Because in the moment when you start thinking about the future, you're creating a relationship with that. So it already creates a dynamic, whether it exists or not, but it creates a perceived dynamic in your life that you already start to act on. So all these things are going to start to come up, right? You're going to start to feel into that a little bit more. You're going to start to, what is really mattering here? What just does not matter anymore? What have I been distracting myself from that has actually been very important in my life? And you might start to realize the thing that you've been trying to distract you from is actually not that bad, right? You might start to, it's almost like these filters that you've had can start to wear off, and you start to realize, but I created a story that I believed in because perhaps maybe I was in a place of pain or I was angry at someone. And the moment when you're in such a negative state of mind, it completely shifts the way that you perceive your reality, the way that you digest it, the way that you react to it. So your state of mind is extremely important here. And that is why your intuition is going to start telling you that you're going to start making better decisions when you can come from that place of calmness, when you can come from a place of neutralness, because that is the best place to create, to manifest from, and also, of course, to make decisions from, because you're completely unhindered by anything from the past that is now holding you perhaps back in the present moment. So also here for during this time, what you might also start to see, there's so much happening with this full moon. That's why I just had to laugh. I just thought, Wow, talk about, shaking things, that nitty-gritty little stuff that we don't always necessarily have conscious awareness of. It's going to be right up in your face. You're going to feel it. It's going to come up. And the good part, the best part about this full moon is that you're going to have awareness of it. You're not going to feel that sense of anxiety or discomfort. You're going to why do I feel like this? Your intuition is going to take you straight to the core. You're going to have insights. You're going to have flashes. You're going to have aha moments. And they're going to be subtle. So take note of that, because it's so easy for us to just go, I don't know what that was. Yeah, I've seen that vision before. How's that relating to what I'm going through right now? What is this? Right? So this is what you want to avoid during this day. Very, very important. And so along with everything that's happening and swirling around, you'll almost be able to start to see the value in creating more structure in your life, right? There is value within that because of the benefits, not just the benefits to environment, but the emotional benefit that you also gain from that. Because, I'm sure that you've also heard, right? You've heard that, if your inner world is all over the place, then it will also reflect in your environment, also your dynamics with people. Now, also just something so simple, right? This is something that I do every single day, right? Just something as simple as making your bed first thing in the morning, right? First thing in the morning. When I get up, I make my bed immediately and I brush my teeth because it already kind of sets a nice, clean, structured, fresh tone for the rest of the day. It's almost like you start your foundation on something that's really clean, tidy, and also brings you comfort, and you feel fresh and clean as well. It really makes a very big difference. And of course, meditation is right there during that moment as well, before or after. But it sets your foundation, your tone for the day. When you wake up shitty, your day is shitty. So if you wake up and you just create a sense of structure, you're already subconsciously layering that in for the rest of your day. Now, I also don't know if you can relate, but for example, in the morning, and like I said, if you wake up feeling miserable, for me especially because I travel a lot, so there's always construction somewhere happening. And I notice that when I have this da-da-da-da and this construction noise going off in the background, I feel miserable. Really, I hate waking up miserable because it kind of sets that tone for the day. Now, also, if you're in a hotel, which I'm in almost every single day, right? There's always going to be people. They're going to be noisy. People aren't always going to be respectful of the people that are next to them in the room. I'm sure you've noticed if you've traveled, right? You might go, well, I have neighbors like that, right? So then you've noticed how this contributes to a sense of an underlying irritation. And I find that I carry that irritation with me, and everything just that day, it just irritates me and it just annoys me. So I started to take action. I started to create, okay, you know what? This is happening in my environment. I can't change it. I can't control it. But what I can control and change is my immediate environment. So where I feel and sense, disorganization or irritation or destruction around me, I bring it back within and I go, okay, so I'm going to create structure. I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to brush my hair. I'm going to get neat and tidy. I'm going to, do my meditation. And that creates my sense of structure that I can work with instead of feeling influenced by my environment. Now, also with this full moon vibe, before I forget, I really want to add this as well. If you're not a structured person, then I've also come to learn, right, that just even setting your clothing out the next day of what to wear, right, that already is kind of like a sense of something less that you have to feel scattered about the next day, right? And also, for example, when I work, I do a lot of writing. I love writing. I'm always busy with the next book or, doing research. And of course, when you do that, or when you think, if you're a very analytical person, then listen. Because, and I'm sure you've probably already tried this, and if you haven't, then you need to start doing this. Write down notes before you go to sleep. Get it out of your system, right? Just do a brain dump, even if it's just like a short mind map on little post-it notepads. That's absolutely fine. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I come back to my computer, I've posted notepads all over my screen telling me, remember this, remember this. This is the first thing you need to do before you do anything else, right? And then just get that out of your mind so that you can start to feel that sense of calmness and not spend so much energy trying to remember things that just doesn't matter right now because you have to deal with it tomorrow. It's not going to happen today, right? So anything that you can just completely get out of your mind, do that. And even something as simple, I know it sounds silly, but something even as simple as trying to pick what you're going to wear the next day, I hate that. I really don't like standing there in front of my cupboard and I'm like, I don't know, and I'm changing my outfit, and it's this and it's that. Well, let's just make a decision and do it the night before, and it's done. So just these little things you might want to start to look at, just what can you do the night before that's going to make your day in the morning just a little bit more comfortable, right? So, and again, that thing about I was saying about sleeping, it's so important that just get whatever it is that you need to get out of your mind, even if it's an argument. Just lie there in your bed and just pretend that you're having an argument with the person and that you're completing the argument, because the reason why you're still mulling over things is because you feel incomplete. So think, what is it that I can say? What is it that I can do in this visualization that's going to help me to feel complete? Even if you have to punch the person, fine. It's just a visualization, right? So just get that out of your system, because otherwise you're just going to, like I said, that when you think of something, your body biochemically reacts as if though it's already happening, right? So you're already creating this cortisol and adrenaline, even though it's really subtle, but your body is going into that state of fight or flight. And you want to get your body out of that. So just these little simple things can create so much more structure in your life. So you see, this full moon is showing you, right? It's showing you that your inner world can show you how unsettled you are, right? By, for example, also running into people or circumstances who can mirror, right? It can mirror your internal state back to you. Now, on the flip side as well, we can also change, right? We can change this to a certain degree by our inner world, through our inner world, right? And also by changing just small things in our outer world that I've already touched on, right? I've already explained and touched on a few things that you can start to change, right? And that is what this full moon is bringing home to you, right? So explore this just a little bit more, right? Where in your life can you immediately start to bring in more structure, right? Easy, simple steps. Because remember, right, your life is a mirror. Now, just also on a side note, coming from this vibe as well, something else that I just quickly want to add here, right? Coming in with this full moon, it can also create almost like a strong, urgent feeling, right? To bring order into your life, like I said earlier. But this can also actually include family dynamics, right? Family dynamics, friendship dynamics. So also here, keep in mind, right? This is not just about you. This is also about dynamics that you have, but it's almost like the emphasis here is on how it's influencing you and how you are reacting to that. So it's still coming back to you, even though it might feel like it's not about you. But this is all about how you are reacting in it, how you are showing up in this, right? So it can create that feeling of almost like a sense of urgency to bring order, right? Where there, for example, was uncertainty or chaos. So, and when I say uncertainty or chaos, whatever it feels that in these dynamics, things are unresolved, things feels uncomfortable, something hasn't always quite felt right, now's the time to investigate that. Now's the time to go look into seeing what is it that's causing me this emotional discomfort. Because you might not connect the dots, but it could be that there's things in your life and relationships in your life that's causing you to feel certain emotions. And then you go create this organization in other parts of your life to create an emotional distraction of how you feel with certain people, how you feel with different certain dynamics. So as with every full moon, we know the energy is sky high, it's rocketing. So don't act impulsively. Super important. Do not act impulsively during this time, because like I said, if you're feeling it, it means that everyone else is also feeling it, right? So this vibe is might cause everyone to feel a little bit on edge with this, right? So because you're dealing with things that you normally have been consciously or subconsciously unaware of, or deliberately avoiding or subconsciously avoiding. So of course, when we have to look at self-sabotaging patterns, there can be a sense of emotional discomfort. So breathe with it. And here's the thing, be okay with the discomfort. Allow the discomfort to be there, because it's actually guiding you. It's actually showing you what is it that needs to give. What is it that needs to shift? So, it's, and the sense of overreaction, as you probably know, I don't need to tell you that probably, it's not going to get anyone anywhere. You're just gonna meow and just blah blah blah, and by the end of the day, it's just gonna be symptoms. You're gonna be yapping symptoms at each other instead of actually looking at the root cause as to why the symptoms are there, because you want to get to the root cause. And this is such a great time for you now to do that, because this vibe is going to bring in tension. So there's a plus and there's a minus. There's a polarity to everything in life, right? So this tension and this vibe is going to bring it in. But it's a good tension. It's a positive tension, because it's going to really direct you clearly, where that jolt of energy needs to be directed to. So be mindful of that. So the more constructive you can be with it, the more positive the outcome is going to be for you, because you want to bring order into your dynamics, right? Because if there's order in these friendship and relationship dynamics, you're going to have order in other aspects of your life automatically as well. So, because ultimately, if there's pain in a place, it pours over, right? You know that it pours over. So start at one end and start creating order. So it doesn't matter at which end you start. Just start. Just do something. Just take action, because this full moon is giving you that push to do it, to just exactly do that. So let's move on, because I also want to do the healing meditation with you, because we're going to be also looking at some things that that have been holding you back from making this decision, or just taking the step that it is that you want to have. Now, when we look at all this, it's like this change in the dynamics and the things that's coming in. If you don't work carefully with this vibe, then it can, like I said, have the opposite effect, right? So because now your definition of what is new, or orderly structure within your life, or relationships or friendships should look like, will most likely be different to the people that you're now involved with, right? So they can have a different perspective. So keep that in mind as well, so that you don't project, but rather than looking at creating a sense of balance as well. Because here you don't want to educate, because that's where things are going to start getting really hairy. It's going to get really, really uncomfortable and probably end up in arguments. So it's more about finding a common ground. So just look at something so simple. Look at how you are approaching this. So the ultimate message is communicate. However, communicate with the intention to bring in solutions rather than sounding like a dictator. Because then no one will cooperate with this tense vibe that's flying around. They're not going to cooperate with you either. Right? And you might also, in this case, you might actually feel your pancreas and your small intestines and digestive tract, also starting to feel a little bit discomfort, which is just mirroring all family and friendship dynamics, right? Because now as this stress and this areas, right? All this emotional stress that's now also related to your life is stored in the emotional body in these specific parts. And I invite you to grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy, 679 Medical Ailments, because here you will see the full scope of the message that your body is trying to tell you if you feel certain pain or ailments flaring up in the body, especially during this time as well. Because this vibe is going to ruffle up these dynamics, right? However, it's not the intention to upset things. However, it's here to help you to break out of old dated patterns. So that's also what the new moon and the full moon is all about. These moon cycles coming in to just break through what is just no longer serving you, and it's just there to just hold that space and just bring it up for you in a good way. So because of course some of us, we've learned to feel comfortable feeling uncomfortable for a little bit too long, right? And that's when it also becomes unhealthy. Now, this vibe is also really great to fix any mistakes that you've made recently. However, a good word of advice here is to use this energy today, firstly, to become aware of how constructively, like I said, you can approach these mistakes. And then after the full moon, you can take action to correct it. I would not advise you to take immediately action on the first or at least the second day after the full moon, right? Because the vibe is still going to be very tense during that time. And the vibe for this moon is also a little bit intense in the sense of like how other people can react. Remember what I said that earlier. This is not just about your experience. This full moon is influencing everyone, right? So you really want to have an awareness of that. And the quicker you can get a grip on it, the better the results. And also just during this full moon, it will always support good intentions, right? Bad intentions or arguments, it's just going to cause it to spiral and you're going to sit with the consequences, and you're going to feel almost punished for it, right? So you know how challenging it also can be to convey a message when you feel overwhelmingly charged, right? So now the question here is that you can start to ask yourself, what in my life needs more structure? Let's also start with, for example, health. Do you have a good routine? What active steps can you also now take to start to improve these routines that you perhaps have in mind? Now, then also, what about your relationships? Where can you bring in more structure? Are there certain situations and also dynamics perhaps in your relationships where you perhaps have given maybe too much or too little? You see, today it's a kind of like a day to creatively think about solutions, and then tomorrow starting to implement them by brainstorming some steps that you want to take, say with loved ones. And also here to keep in mind that not all decisions that you make would need to be brainstormed, right? Sometimes just a very gentle and yet subtle changes that you start to gradually make on your end is also perhaps enough, right? That is exactly what could perhaps just be needed, which will allow other people to also gradually start to adjust with you without them even realizing it. And the best part, without confrontation. So now, let's move on to the healing meditation. That is all about starting to break through structure challenges. Because normally in most cases, what you might have realized is that the way that you deal with structure or needing to create structure could either be a reflection, say, of the way that you observed mom or dad or influential caretakers in your life. Maybe you observed the way that they dealt with circumstances that needed organization. And there could have been a subconscious part of you that perhaps copied that without you even realizing it. And now you could be sitting in a situation where you're acting out these old patterns and not knowing how to break them because someone else's coping strategies that might have been unhealthy for them, of course, might have now become unhealthy for you. However, that coping strategy becomes so familiar that it could be very hard to break, to consciously break that cycle and that pattern. So now, what we're going to be looking at is releasing stress associated with disorganization and structure. And so now when you are ready, I invite you first to take a nice deep breath. And exhale. And when you're ready, I invite you to feel, see, sense, or hear a beautiful waterfall just flowing from your head, down your spine, your chest, your arms, your legs, down your feet. Releasing, resolving, and dissolving any and all stress that you have felt today. Also just releasing other people's stress that you perhaps interacted with today. Just resolving and dissolving that, releasing that, which no longer belongs to you. And you can even say to yourself, this is no longer mine. Just feeling that beautiful water flow just flowing through every single cell in your body. Just bringing calmness and expansion where you held old tension that is now releasing. Every breath that you exhale, you're feeling calmer, calmer, calmer. I invite you now to feel, see, sense, or hear just an empty, open space in front of you. And then I invite you now to just allow your intuition, allow your subconscious mind to show you here who in your past perhaps challenged your ability to be and feel structured and organized. It could be that perhaps every time you tried to do something or create something, it felt like there was a sabotage coming in. And perhaps this person was not necessarily consciously aware of it. However, that is how you perceived it. And as you observe this person, inviting you now to bring a beautiful light, any color of your choice, to start to just flow over you and flowing over the other person. Bringing in this beautiful, strong, powerful intention to heal this old dynamic between the two of you that no longer serves you. Feeling as that beautiful light is coming in, just flowing through every single cell in your body, and flowing through the other person, every single cell in their body. And this beautiful place and space between the two of you is just healing, resolving and dissolving. Resolving and dissolving. And as it's resolving and dissolving, you're also starting to perhaps, at this time, starting to see how silly it was that you gave your power away to this person. Realizing now that you are the creator of what you want. And even in that moment, as you're looking and observing at that person, observing this beautiful place and space between the two of you, just healing, becoming lighter and lighter and lighter and expanding. Calling your power back from the times when you gave your power away to this person. Calling your power back from the times when you allowed this person to influence your ideas. And calling your power back from the times when you allowed this person to cause you to doubt yourself. I call my power back from you. I call my power back from you. I call my power back from you. And now, allowing this visualization or image or sensations that you had about this person and you and their dynamic, just resolving, dissolving into dust, just becoming nothing, just going, going, gone. Allowing now, perhaps someone to take the place of that empty space that is in front of you Someone who you perhaps share certain disorganization or disorganizing skills with. Maybe someone that you copied in your family. Just allowing them now to come stand in front of you. And just looking at them and now just acknowledging the difference between my identity and your identity. I acknowledge the difference between my definition of organization and your definition of organization. And just allowing this person to just really gently resolve and dissolve, just going, going, gone. And now we're going to go into the alpha brainwave state to really help the body to integrate and to reset this beautiful healing that we've done to help you to gently and gracefully step into these changes. So we're going to breathe in the nose, out the mouth 10 times, and I will count with you. So, and then remember the last breath, I'll ask you to hold your breath as long as you can. However, I will guide you step by step. Now, let's start with in the nose. Nice deep breaths and out the mouth. In the nose. Out the mouth. Nice deep breaths in the nose. Out the mouth. Nice deep breaths in the nose. Out the mouth. In the nose. Out the mouth. Pick up the pace in the nose. Out the mouth. Nice deep breath in the nose. Out the mouth. In the nose. Out the mouth. In the nose. Out the mouth, in the nose, and hold. Hold as long as you can. And you're going to feel dizzy, and that's perfect. Allowing yourself to just drop into that dizziness. Repeating to yourself that organization is positive. Structure will bring calmness to my life. I create my own structure. Structure is easy. Hold your breath as long as you can and only exhale when you need to, out the mouth. And as you're also exhaling when you're ready, just feeling yourself just easing into the physical body again. Feeling the surface beneath you. Becoming aware of your breath. Allowing your body to find its sense of calmness, balance, and centeredness. Allowing your feet to also grow roots back down, 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 down into the core of the earth, anchoring you back into your life, back into the here and now, following my voice, into the present moment. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and gently come back to me, seeing, sensing, and observing and seeing the world through the eyes of someone who has a positive attitude towards structure and organization. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, be the light that you are.
Hi guys, thank you for joining me, and remember to grab your copy of Metaphysical Anatomy on Amazon, 679 medical ailments. And I also wrote about the psychosomatic root causes of that, and I'm spoiling it because I even added key points for you to start looking at important questions that you can ask yourself to start improving your quality of life. And also remember to catch me on Instagram, Evette Rose 1 with the digit 1, and Metaphysical Anatomy on our Facebook fan page. Bye guys!